Super Mario Party Jamboree has been out for about a week now, and I think I've gotten to the point where I think I've narrowed down my top 10 favorite minigames from Super Mario Party Jamboree. Now, do keep in mind that, being completely candid here, I actually have not played all of the minigames, but the minigames that I haven't played were all motion-controlled, Koopathlon, and Bowser Kaboom Squad minigames. And being real, I don't see any of these honestly being in my top 10 favorite minigames anyways, so I'm happy just talking about the main general ones. This list is in no particular order, and before we get started, do make sure to drop a like and subscribe, all of that stuff down below, and click that notification bell so you can be notified of when I upload future videos. And there are also currently 5 live stream archives of my first time experiencing all of the new boards in Super Mario Party Jamboree, so I highly recommend you go and watch those if you want to see my initial reactions. And tomorrow I will be live streaming Western Land with Alec and stuff, Nintendo Fangirl, and Just Rappaport, and it'll be my first time playing that board, so make sure to come around and enjoy the stream. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. First up, we have Camera Ready. This is a free-for-all minigame where your objective is to match the picture taken in the middle of the screen there, and you have to move your camera around this 3D environment to get that picture-perfect picture. Now, being honest, this minigame is really finicky. You really gotta get the positioning, the zoom, the angle, you gotta get it all right. What I like about this minigame is that it really does pay to pay attention and to notice the fine details that will make your picture as close as possible. What are all the characters in the shot? Which way are they facing? Are certain characters facing certain directions when you have to take the picture? And you gotta be careful to not get photobombed while you're trying to take the picture. There's a lot of things that you need to keep in mind for this one, and I do think it ends up being a really fun one, even if it really gets me frustrated. Scarel. This one is a really cool one. I always love the obstacle course kind of minigames, and this one is no different. Scarel has you running around this scary carousel, and your objective is to not get shocked by any of the electricity that kind of border your kind of running area. At first, the minigame starts off slow and simple, it's pretty easy, but eventually it really starts to pick up. Like, it gets faster and faster and faster until you can't keep up anymore. And not to mention, the people you're competing against could also really screw you over. If they jump on your head as you're trying to get over the boo obstacle, for instance, that can really screw you over, especially if the obstacle course is going really fast. It's just got the main elements of a great Mario Party minigame for me. It's fast, it's chaotic, and it's fun. Sandwiched. This minigame is basically Booksquirm 2.0. Basically, you gotta avoid falling sandwiches while jumping on other fallen sandwiches and looking out for the shadows to know where the sandwiches are falling next. Kinda like with Scarel, this one starts off pretty simple, pretty slow, pretty steady, but eventually as it picks up speed and more sandwiches start to fall, it does get chaotic very fast, and I can really see this one being a fan favorite, specifically for those who really liked Booksquirm from Mario Party 4. LightWave Battle is another free-for-all minigame. I have a feeling you guys are noticing the theme here. But this minigame is a really cool one where you have to ground pound to send out these light waves to hit your opponents. The last one standing wins the minigame. What I love about this minigame is it's not just about spamming the A button and ground pounding as fast as you can, it's gotta be more methodical than that. You gotta pay attention to the other opponent's shock waves so that you can time your ground pound so that you're not getting hit. It requires a little bit of thinking, but it's not overly complex. It's pretty simple, something I think that anyone could understand, but you really gotta have your wits about you to make it to the end. Granite Getaway. Did you guys really think this one wasn't gonna make the list? This is my favorite minigame of all time. Always has been, always was, from Mario Party 6 and even still here. This is an example of a minigame that they took from the original and made it even better. The graphics of this minigame are gorgeous. The minigame just looks amazing. And they really improved a lot of things with it. Firstly, they made it harder than the original GameCube one. They did this by changing the lighting to make certain stones a little harder to see, changing the camera angles to make the camera a little bit closer up so you had less time to react. Different things like that made this minigame a lot more spicy and fun to play. Do keep in mind this is the only returning minigame I have on this list, as I think it would be a little unfair to put more than one returning minigame in this list because I really want to focus on the new minigames. Unfriendly Flying Object is a really cool 1v3 where the one person's objective is to drop these spiky platforms down on top of the other 3 players that those other 3 players can then use as platforms if needed or have to jump over if the spiky side is up. It's a really balanced 1v3 minigame that I do feel like is really fun. It's pretty simple, there's really not that much to say, but I do really like this one. AIS Taxi, on the other hand, is a very complicated minigame. Basically, it's a 2v2 where 2 people take control of this vehicle. One person can move the vehicle up and down, and the other can move it left and right. This requires a lot of coordination between the 2 players, as only one person can move at a time, so you can only go up and down or left and right at one given point. The amount of coordination and communication needed between the 2 players on the team is honestly pretty high, and it does lend to be a really chaotic and fun one with the 2 people screaming at each other on each team. Though, if you get the computers though on your team, even if they're at a master difficulty like the ones I was playing against for my gameplay footage, yeah, they're not that great. Slappy Go Round. This is a duel minigame, and boy oh boy this one's fun. Basically, you and another person are standing on 2 different platforms. If you ground pound it, then the hand will come swinging towards your opponent. But if the opponent jumps over it, then that glove will come and attack you. It's a mind games kind of minigame where you really gotta think about what your opponent's gonna do. My personal strategy for this one is to play defensively as opposed to offensively. If you just keep ground pounding, then your opponent's gonna kinda know what you're doing and manage to avoid your attacks every time. But if you wait for your opponent to attack you, then you obviously have a better chance of dodging it, and then if they're unprepared, you can immediately go in for the attack and possibly hit them. It requires a lot of thinking, it requires a lot of knowing your opponent, but it is such a good one. DKs Bongo Line is an ally minigame, and it is definitely my favorite from the bunch. To sum it up, it's a rhythm minigame where DK will give you a set of patterns that you'll have to replicate on your bongos by hitting the left and right triggers, and it is a really fun one. Granted, I'm just biased towards rhythm minigames in general. I always love rhythm minigames in any game that I play. So having that in a Mario Party game where it's actually a little more, in depth, it's a little longer than a standard minigame, and it doesn't rely on motion controls, it's actually a really fun one, and one that I've actually gotten quite good at. Not to mention, the song that actually plays through the minigame is actually pretty solid as well. Lastly is Fire Away. Now, actually, this is one of the Koopathlon minigames that I actually ended up really enjoying. Typically, I'm not a fan of button mashers. Minigames like Domination really don't do anything for me, so Fire Away honestly really tickled my fancy because it's a mashing minigame, but it's not just how many times you can mash the A button, it's all about timing and making sure you can get past the bullet bills. The timing can be really finicky though, so you have to really pay attention to where certain bullet bills are and where you are in respect to them. It's a really fun one, and the objective isn't to get to the top. It's not a race, it's actually just to survive. If you survive the onslaught of bullets, and then on top of that there's also lava that's rising from the bottom to make sure that you keep going up, then of course you get a certain advantage in the Koopathlon mode. But nonetheless, those are my 10 favorite minigames, at least thus far, from Super Mario Party Jamboree. I think Super Mario Party Jamboree on the whole has a bunch of really great minigames. I can't really think of too many stinkers. Well, the boss minigames kind of come to mind, but besides them, I think most of the minigames have been really solid. So I really hope that you guys are enjoying the minigames as well. Let me know some of your favorites down in the comments down below. I would truly love to hear what you have to say. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I really hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe, all that stuff down below. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I upload videos. And until next time, you guys, I will see you all in the next video.